Okay, so I was wrong. I thought Paddy and Green were going to probably go the distance, but Paddy again exceeded my expectations. I remember when I watched Paddy fight Tony, and I was like, I didn't expect him to make it look that easy, right? Like, I thought Tony was going to put up more of a fight, especially with where he was at in his career. But against Bobby Green, I was like, okay, that's where he's probably going to catch a little bit more resistance because Bobby didn't fight Justin Gaethje. However, you know what? Paddy proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he is getting better. A lot of people don't want to hear that. And look, I get it. I've heard all the criticisms of Paddy, the Ariel Helwani situation, a lot of things like that. The not giving Jared Gordon enough credit, like thinking that the fight wasn't even close, right? That rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, and rightfully so. But when they show up and they continue to prove the doubters wrong, we got to separate the fighting ability other than how we feel about them personally. Because sad thing about these martial arts sports is it's not about how good of a person you are. In fact, it's about how well you could hurt another human being. I think that's just the reality of the sport. Now, Paddy Pimblett, though, has yet again eclipsed what I was expecting of him. Now, do I think he's ready to take on Benoit Saint Denis? Probably not, especially Benoit with his grappling background and how well Benoit has been going up against the top guys. I mean, obviously against Dustin Poirier, he got clipped, but until he was fighting Dustin Poirier, he was winning. But Paddy is not really having his sights set on Benoit Saint Denis. Instead, Paddy the Baddy has called out Renato Moicano. And I have to say that is definitely the fight that would be in Paddy's best interest if he wants to take a little bit step up in a game that can be a little more dangerous for him, but not overstep, where if he were to face Matt Frivola or he were to face someone like Drew Dober or even John Silva. Remember when I said that there's that one dude who beat Drew Dober on like a week's notice or something like that? Yeah, John Silva. I think a lot of those guys would give Paddy a little bit more resistance than we understand would happen. However, with Renato Moicano, looking at how he stacks up against Paddy, that's an interesting matchup because obviously Paddy was able to keep up a little bit with Bobby Green on the hands. If it was a purely stand-up fight, I'm pretty sure Bobby Green would have taken it by like a decision, because I think it would have just been like kind of like a tapping fest, because Paddy knew that he wasn't going to want to stand in there and trade with Bobby Green or give any more effort. Like if you were to rush in against someone like Bobby Green, he'd catch you, and that's how Paddy won. He understood where he stood with Bobby Green. He knew his strengths, he knew his weaknesses, and then he waited for Bobby Green to play into Paddy's strengths. But like, let's say Renato Moicano would go for a takedown against Pimblett. I don't know if that would go just as in Paddy's favor. It might. He's taken on other grapplers before, but Renato Moicano is an established grappler in the UFC, both featherweight, lightweight. He has some wins, and he has taken on some big names. So obviously, he's not as young as he used to be, but that would definitely be the fight, because it could also be Paddy wanting to work on his hands a little bit more, because Renato's hands aren't quite like Bobby's, but in the jiu-jitsu realm, the grappling realm, if it were to go to the ground, I would expect it to be like a competitive no-gi jiu-jitsu matchup. So I think that that's good. He wants to play someone who's in his strength, because it's easy to take a striker, take him to the ground, and out-grapple him. But if you want to grapple with a grappler and showcase how superior your grappling skills really are, or maybe even go to the feet and strike a little bit and get some work in there, that's definitely a smart fight. Like, Paddy, whether you love him or hate him, he's making all the right moves in his career right now at this point. It just kind of seems like he understands where he's at. He understands the steps he needs to take to keep growing and to have authentic growth. And, that's another thing that they will tell you in jiu-jitsu is you got to spend some time, fighting people who aren't as good as you, or who you have a better shot at, because you want to sharpen up your tools. If you're just fighting the guys that you're not ready for yet, you're just taking damage and you're not really getting any reps in. So, Paddy's looking at this as a realistic thing, and I think that's why I don't know how far he makes it. I don't know if he makes that belt. I don't know who he's going to be taking on. Is he going to be able to beat Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier or anybody like Beneil Dariush or someone like that? I don't know. I think that it's going to be a different story once he really climbs up the rankings. But as of right now, he's continuing to turn it up a notch every now and again. So if he keeps going with this, I expect good things from him. But, he might hit a roadblock, but I'm not one of those Paddy the Baddy haters who is waiting for him to hit a roadblock. I'm actually becoming a really big fan of this guy. He's actually changed my mind because when he first started off, I didn't know how long he was going to take for. I didn't know how long he was going to take to last in the UFC. Excuse my fumbling of my words, but seeing him go from a sloppy new guy to a very crisp and understanding, matured fighter. It's like the male version of Macy Barber at this point. He went from young and cocky to older, more mature, and a better understanding of what he's doing. And, it is all business, but I don't think there's any bad blood being spilt. But, I am looking forward to seeing Paddy come back, make a turnaround by the end of the year, and take on Renato because he needs to go down. That's all I got to say.